Israel says that this is an attempt to crack down on potentially violent people who are planning operations against the Israelis. But having been to the West Bank many, many times, I have serious questions about that. The West Bank is under full Israeli military occupation control ultimately, and there are 600,000 or so settlers there, Jewish settlers, and almost every square metre of the West Bank, unlike Gaza, it's quite different in Gaza, of the West Bank, the Israelis know every square metre of that. They've got informants all through the place. So the notion that suddenly there are all these nests of militants and would-be terrorists just doesn't pass muster, in my view. Since October 7, the Israeli soldiers and Jewish settlers have killed more than 600 Palestinians. And there will be, from my experience, 6 years living there, there will be virtually no accountability for that at all. Not one of those people will be charged.
Why is Israel ramping up its operation now?
Well, it's driven clearly by the political elite. There is a big split now between Prime Minister Netanyahu, who fully endorses these so-called operations, and the head of their security service, Shin Bet, who has written a letter to the Prime Minister, Ronan Bar. He's the man in charge of security, and he has said Jewish terror is his term, carried out by violent settlers, and the National Security Minister, which is incredible, Itamar Ben-Gvir's actions on the Temple Mount, by going to the Temple Mount, are doing indescribable damage to Israel. He says, I'm writing you this letter in pain, great fear as a Jew, as an Israeli, and as a member of the security force. So it gets to the heart of that, what we've talked about before. The Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, is propped up by those two ministers, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, who another head of Shin Bet, previously Ami Ayalon, told me when I was in Israel, described them, those two, as terrorists. So you've got the former head of Shin Bet saying they are terrorists, keeping Benjamin Netanyahu in power, and the current head of Shin Bet is basically saying it's out of control. The government's doing nothing. It's not a new story. When I lived there, I had a briefing with the previous head of Shin Bet, Yuval Diskin, who said to me, we know who the Jewish terrorists are in the West Bank. And I said, why don't you do something about it? He said, ask the Netanyahu government. So they're doing nothing.
Where's it go from here?
Well, here it's an incredible situation. The Jewish settlers are all armed. The Palestinians are not. These Jewish settlers going into villages at night and committing all sorts of mayhem, killing Palestinians who are tending to their olive groves, and there's nothing the Palestinians can do about it.